All right. Anyone here aging? Some of you, but not all of you. This is what I wrote for tonight. It's called The Princess Bride. Like every good child of the 80s, The Princess Bride is part of the repertoire of iconic films that have entered my eyes. Only things like seeing films in theaters and paying for meals at restaurants were not part of my wallet's abilities in my 18th year, so I didn't see it until sometime in the 90s when trips to Blockbuster or, let's be honest, Tower Video was a regular part of my whole thing. I will acknowledge the film was released the day before I turned 19, but was not yet on my radar, so any cultural knowledge of making oneself immune to poison was limited to 1955's The Court Jester, in which Danny Kaye famously said, "The pellet with the poisons in the vessel with the pestle, the chalice from the palace has the brew that is true." Full disclosure, The Court Jester came out 13 years before I was born, but for some reason I had the soundtrack on vinyl, which at the time was all anyone had anything on. But back to The Princess Bride, which is why we're all here, which whenever it is mentioned causes any sensible American film watcher to raise their eyebrows wistfully and say, "Ah, yes, The Princess Bride." Like we all know something. Like we all share something. I'm happy to share this film with anyone who has seen it, but I must tell you, I am furious at all of the actors for having aged. I watched all of Homeland on Showtime before I realized that old, balding, bearded Mandy Patinkin had been Inigo Montoya this whole time. I thought I'd met him watching Homeland, but it turned out I'd known him for decades. But it wasn't until the current millennia that I'd observed that even though he has a woman's first name, it was canceled out because the first syllable is man. It was in at least season 11 of the six-season show House of Cards before I realized Robin Wright, Mrs. President Frank Underwood, was Princess Buttercup. How dare she get old and lose the buttercupian innocence of her forever role? I'm not sure I can trust her anymore, and I only 70% want to see her and Mandy Patinkin kiss on the mouth now, maybe 80 if he's willing to look her in the eyes ahead of time and say, "Call me Mandy." I'm almost okay with Billy Crystal aging. He had so much makeup on to portray Miracle Max that he actually looks younger now. Though I remember the time he first hosted the Oscars when he was just a 12-year-old boy. Zinger after zinger delivered with the comedic zeal of youth. He must have hosted that show 1,100 times. He's still got it. He still gives us gold, but even his face is drooping closer to the ground than his buttocks. I guess it happens to all of us. We start out invincible. In our youth, we can eat a pizza an hour while our superhuman metabolism acts as if nothing has happened. We define what cool is, and as the years pass, we realize is has become was. The color leaves our hair, and sometimes our hair leaves us altogether. We all eventually look exactly like Vizzini did in 1987. He's 80 now and doesn't look much different. His character's Sicilian, and according to the DNA test I took, I'm 1% Italian, so that gives me hope that I may live forever. Otherwise, as my hair grays, as birds build nests under my eyes, as I'm down to barely one pizza a week, I can see the edges of the end of my own adventure. I find this passage of time inconceivable. And, oh, yeah. What was the instruction? Just
wait.
I have received your gratitude and I appreciate it. Thank you. I was thinking about, for just another piece to read, and Adele, you mentioned in your email of themes that come from this movie, and you mentioned it in the introduction as well. The power of true love is stronger than anything. And I can't think of anything more true than that. I'm married to a woman who I adore, and this past Valentine's Day, I almost said Halloween, that wouldn't be correct. I wrote 24 haiku for her, and I printed them out on little pieces of paper and gave them to her so she could read one an hour, forgetting that she sleeps many of those hours. Are you looking at your significant other? Come on, man. So, these are them. I'm going to skip over the ones that have just like real specific references to things that only she and I know. I'm skipping over the ones that have nude photos of both of us. Other than that, 24 haiku or less for my wife, Addie. One for every hour. Some hours you are asleep. Read those in advance. One reason I love you. You are always willing to be a chicken. You don't need to understand that. That just makes sense, doesn't it? Not enough red ink to print all the hearts I need to show you my love. I put your ballot in a mailbox. You will always be my choice. This is going well. My sweet percussive honey, your hands lay down the backbeat of our love. Where do we keep the paper plates? Only my love knows the secret. Kansas City, the giant shuttlecock and interrupting waiter. Feels like that's just common sense. I would upload my ones and zeros to be with the digital you. In Alaska, the cod will leap into your mouth just to be with you. Any time or place, as long as I'm with you, I'd spritz across the world. The neighborhood trees sometimes go, but never the forest of our love. You may never let me feed the outside creatures, but I'll always feed you. Coffee, wine, gluten, may you forever indulge whenever you want. My face leaning into yours, sometimes you become the prickles alarm. Every hour a poem for you enters my brain. You are always there. The doctors did an x-ray of my heart and said, hey, wow, that's your wife. Wife rhymes with life. You are my wife. You are my life. How our language works. Remember when the butterfly landed on you? That's the draw I feel. Your hand in my hand, till the world can't tell where you start and I begin. Every poem I have written is for you, the book of Addie and Rick. Had more hair when we started. Thanks for sticking with me now that there's less. Too bad haiku needs 17 syllables. All I need is one. Love.